All right, well, welcome everybody. Let's do this. Get ready to rumble. Excellent images. For this scene. Unfortunately, none of them are mine. So,
Oh, well.
There were some basic that I think should have probably been in advance. Just looking at it, but anyway, yeah. Next theme is open. So, and that'll open up tonight at midnight. Get your submissions ready. And if anybody wants to judge, let me know, shoot an email, carrier pigeon, smoke signal, however you get it. You can mark it. I'll probably forget in the next 5 minutes. Okay. So, all right, so we got one, just need 2 more. You gonna volunteer? Heard you volunteer. Maybe.
Oh,
Did he raise his hand?
that's a volunteer.
No, what they used to do in the army, hey, raise your hand. Hey, you just volunteer. I did that once, they're like, raise your hand. Okay, you're going to Somalia. So, anyway, yes, some great images, 3 judges tonight, Nick, Charles, and Gary. So, yeah. Let's get. We'll do a quick pass through them first.
Uh-oh. Oh, we're lowering the light. Yeah,
Okay.
suppose, yeah, should help
Okay.
with visibility a little bit.
Do a quick one voice too. Still life in white. Rose petals and raindrops. Budding leaves. Pillow. An arrangement. Newness. Resting place. Trumpet plant. Cactus flowers. What's big and red? Balancing act. Still life in black. Is that a pistol or are you glad to see me? Waking up. -2. And last one, yellow bursting through. All right. So we'll go back through judges. If they're yours, just shout it out.
How many do you want us to speak to?
3 each.
3 each, yeah.
Okay.
You can do more if you want, but you know, if we do too many, we'll or we'll run over.
One voice.
This is mine. So. Tap, tap, tap.
It's switching.
It's still
you're-
going.
Yeah, you're still in,
Still in rotate mode, whatever.
All right.
yeah, we have to do that. Like I said, conference call voice. So I found this a very interesting image. First of all, certainly on point with the brief. We got a portrait of a flower here. I think that for me, the maker did a very nice job very satisfying job with composition. overall. I think that there are a number of areas where this image could be improved. First of all, the flower isn't bright enough and the background's too bright. So the first thing I would suggest is doing some post work to brighten up that flower, the blossom itself, and to darken pretty much most of the background. The leaves, I think, could use a little bit of darkening as well, just to kind of de-emphasize them. But one of the biggest problems with the image for me is that the bud is in focus as well as the leaves in the lower right corner. And I keep jumping down there and looking at those. So for me, I would suggest either changing the crop. I think an 8x10 would be more suitable for this image, or cloning out the sharp leaves in the bottom right corner. And I'm a little iffy on the one little stalk in the background, but that could be cloned out as well. So I think with some work, I think really make some really nice improvements. But the fundamental issue here is that flower is just not bright enough. It's just too dark. The eye is drawn to contrast. So what I'm seeing is basically everything around the flower and the brightness of the background. And I really don't think that's what the maker's looking for. But a lot of strong elements, like I just say, composition, color palette is great. I love I think the limited color palette is very effective. So
Still life in white.
Okay, I'll talk about this one. So I appreciated with this one the use of the flowered vase. I thought that echoed the composition of the bouquet. And the use of color here, the choice of split complements between the purple and the green and the yellow and violet up there, that worked well. But in this case, the flower arrangement itself is very haphazard. It really kind of looks like, we just kind of took everything and stuffed it in there. So a little bit better arrangement would have helped there. And then the other thing that I ran into trouble with here is with the white background, the vase picture basically turns into a white on white problem. And most of us that have taken photography classes about white on white, we want the edges of the vase to stand out and they disappear into the background. So that part didn't get done properly. The other thing is the lighting's all from the left here, and so that leaves the left background very white, and the right hand, the background behind the white is just this kind of dirty gray. So this lighting from both sides would have really been a better choice. I don't, white as a background is still classic. You can either, make it tight and have it kind of disappear, or you can leave it with texture, which seems to be the choice here. And I don't mind the texture at all. It just, the dirty gray just didn't work. The petals lying in front of it actually do work. However, those give some, help to fill up this empty spot that's, that it echoes the rest of the flowers. That really actually works. So this one needs a little work. And actually, I'm going to just speak a little bit out of turn and say that you did much better on the still life on black, which is coming up later. Somebody else will probably talk about that one, but you did a much better job on that one.
I can't move. Want to say your screen sharing? Yeah, it's because of screen sharing.
Yeah, because that's kind of covering the top of the image. I think you can change it under more. Yeah, there you go. Drag it out of the way. Thank you. Okay. So thank you. Next, please.
Next. Rose petals and raindrops. Any takers? Budding leaves. pillow.
I'll take that one. Okay, so it's an interesting image. I have to say, you know, if it were really a pillow, I wouldn't come anywhere near that hole in the middle. That looks pretty scary to me. I do like I do like how the texture of the petals all, you know, basically it's all leading lines. It leads to the center. Problem I had with it is a couple of things. One, the actual center there, when I looked at it, it's a little soft. There was a little more, I mean, the contrasted detail was actually a little farther forward. And when I looked at the EXIF data, I saw an f-stop of 1. That may be a little shallow depth of field for this. You know, it's great that you've got a lens that can do 1, but you know, maybe either, you know, step back and give yourself a little more room, or, you know, go to a smaller aperture that will give you a deeper depth of field. That'll make that center sharp, because I mean, all the lines lead towards it. If it's not the center of attention, what is? So it should be sharp, and it's not. Also, it has a little, and this I have trouble with this when I do macro photos too. You know, it gives you all that detail of that little garbage that's lying around the little black specks and everything that aren't, you know, they're not pollen and they're not part of the flower. They're kind of annoying. The other thing I ran into was over there to the left, there's a big white spot there that just, it was a little too bright. It basically, it just lost detail over there because it was too bright. What I was going to suggest with this one is actually the center of the flower is too centered. I would have cropped it in from the top left to bring that over more towards the third on the left side, and I think that would be more interesting that way. But all in all, I mean, it's a good image. You know, I thought it was very interesting. Just, you know, these things that bug me. So thanks for bringing it.
An arrangement.
I like the setup here with the side light illuminating vase of lilies against the background. The thing that draws my eye most.
Microphone is so loud here.
Okay, I'll speak up. The thing that draws my eye most, which I really like, is the lily pod lying beside the vase on the left, which for me is the strongest element there. And maybe there might be a way to emphasize that a little more. Understanding the side light means that the right-hand side will be darker. I do find this a little dark. Wonder if this could have been brought out a little more. So I'm not searching for the details as I look for it. Maybe a little bit of more of a crop at the top where the negative space is also drawing me out of the image. That's it.
Okay. Newness. Resting place. Trumpet plant.
That's me again. I like the colors in these flowers very much, and the contrast between the pink and the yellow is really nice. I do think the upper blooms are a little soft there, and the photographer used F5, I guess, to try and keep a narrow depth of field and blur out the background. Problem with that is the flowers are a little too soft. Having said that, the yellow fork, if that's what it is, just keeps drawing my eye away from the subject. And I think I'd have tried to remove that or move it out of the way or just de-emphasize it in some way because it keeps taking the eye away from the flowers. I'm also distracted by the pinkish leaf. Maybe it's a cactus that's just behind the plant in the upper left edge, which I assume doesn't belong to it. I'd like to be able to dwell on those central flowers without having to worry about the other elements in the frame. Maybe a tighter crop would help as well.
Cactus flower.
This is mine. So, this is in many respects for me a very successful image. I think the maker has done a tremendous job of managing the light in this image, creating a glow in the center of each plant, as well as a very rich shade of burgundy or wine or whatever you want to call it for the other leaves, and the white details along the edge of the leaves is nicely illuminated. I have two fundamental problems with the image. First of all, those aren't flowers. I did some Googling, and these are succulents. Succulents sometimes make flowers. Those are not flowers, so not to the brief. So I ranked this one down because of that. Even though I gave it a good score, I put it lower in rank because of that, which is unfortunate because it's in many respects a beautiful image. My other problem with this is that I think that the maker wants me to look at that top center plant, but that top center plant is facing above my head, and I have 5 other choices here, none of which are facing towards the viewer, all of which are competing for my attention. So I sense for this particular crop, in this particular image, a lack of focus in that I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking at. I did have a nice conversation with my wife about this, and I suggested that maybe we could zoom in and focus on the single flower and kind of diminish the emphasis on the surrounding ones, usually on flowering and the sunlight flower. My wife said she liked it as it was, but maybe more by backing out and getting more of the plant in so that we get more of a texture approach as opposed to a specific plant approach, a single plant approach, both of which are fine solutions. I'm just not sure that this image is as successful as it could be because of those ideas. So I would encourage the maker to work this. My wife pointed out that the maker may have been limited by the scope of what was available, right? There could be the edge of a planter next, just off screen. We don't know because we don't see anything. But certainly, if possible, working the scene more and trying different ideas to really find an image that really communicates what the maker is trying to make. For me, I'm not entirely sure what that is. I just know what I'm looking at, what draws my attention. But overall, a lot of really super strong elements here, and whoever did this, I'm impressed, and I commend them because it's got so many wonderful attributes to it. So super successful in so many ways.
What's big and red?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and talk about that one. Okay, so we're kind of dodging the pun here. This is a hibiscus flower. It's nice and big and red. It's got lots of textures, got leading lines all bringing it down to the center. Very interesting. This one looks like somebody just sprayed water on it. Okay, and got carried away, frankly. It's just great big water droplets all over it. Didn't really help that much. And probably the center of attention, the stigma, right there on the end of the pistil is out of focus. It's a little soft. And then below it, it has this huge yellow water droplet that's actually kind of gross. So, I mean, I had a little trouble with that. And then the background, there's particularly a big red splotch down below, just in the background that's distracting. A little more time cloning out some of the distracting elements of the background would have been useful, I think. But, you know, it's a good try. It's an interesting image. It's an interesting flower. That just, I guess, be a little more careful with the water. I mean, it really doesn't look like it's rain shower. It looks like somebody took the sprayer and try and find a mister that, you know, that does smaller droplets. And when you get that accumulation under the end of the pistil, I mean, get it off of there. I mean, a Q-tip, Kleenex, something, because it's gross.
Balancing act. Still life in black.
Well. All right, so. I too love public power. I think public power, personally, I think that's purpose, so, you know, it's me personally. That said, I think that the arrangement of the blossoms in this particular image are more successful than the other. Okay. So I think from a still life perspective, I want to feel like, or I want to guess that what thought was given to the how many of the two bonds. I don't know. I don't know. Mention a couple of things that you kind of want to its sibling image, which is that with this particular approach, we have a high contrast between the white vase and the black background. So you can very clearly understand where things are. And my best guess, based on the highlights in the box, is that it's to 2x7, one each level of camera. So it's probably 45 degrees-ish. So we've got a nice spray of light on the flowers, so you can see very clearly. For me, I don't understand the petals on the ground, air quotes, when we're on the surface. I don't understand the petals. The blossoms in the vase are clearly not fading. They look to be healthy and reasonably fresh to me. So I don't understand the point of blossoms on the round vase. So that to me is a distraction, and I don't really understand what the maker is trying to say with that. I'm also honestly not. I don't find my background special. But I will admit here that I am not a big fan of things floating in space. So there's a personal element to that, and I'll admit that. And then that's okay. That's cool. What I would prefer to see, as we saw simply an ancient site, I prefer to see some shadows. I prefer to know the context of what's back there, even if it's really super dark, just still something's discernible, so that I get a feel of it. You're looking at the tabletop in the background, or something like that. That to me is what it's still like it's about. It's an entire scene created on something in the background, rather than just honestly essentially positive. Yeah. Other successful elements here, I think, are the focus on the flowers. I think everything seems as crisp as they like to make it out to be, based on the sites of the image right now. And it's very clear. All the elements are very clear. So there's a lot here that I think is really quite a lot. And again, I'm on the color scheme.
Is that a pistol, or are you glad to see me? Waking up.
That's it. I like the example shooting directly down from above. I can see why that's been chosen. The colours of the flower pop very nicely. The yellows and the blacks and the stain against the leaves provides a nice contrast. Maybe a narrow aperture would have been good, so the edge of the petals are also sharp, because I'm continually looking out from the stamen and being somewhat put off by the fact that the petals are so soft. And as that comes out. I think that should be quite possible without bringing the background in focus too much. Having said that, I would darken the earth tones in the background. They are drawing my eye away. They are pretty bright. And I would like to keep my eye on that flower that's the focal point of the picture. I'd also consider blurring or removing maybe some of those edge elements, certainly in the upper right, and those leaves just above the flower, especially the withered one. I keep getting drawn away in that direction. But nice submission.
Yellow bursting through. Okay. I think we are done. So let's see what the judges have to say. We got 4 first, second, third, and an honorable mention. Honorable mention goes to Cody Addison.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. You wanted me to talk?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I took this out at Brushy Creek Trail, just walking around, and I thought it was really interesting just because it was, I know it's not quite a flower, it's just leaves, but I thought it was interesting how they created a floral pattern. And so I think I shot it at like f2.8 to try to keep as much of the in focus as I could, and then have the background fall off. So
Third goes to Leslie Chatham, cactus flower. Not here. Okay. Second goes to Judy Ogren, Still Life in Black. No Judy? And first goes to Sheila Patterson, Newness. Moving you up to advance.
Yeah, tell us about
Next year. I think they have you listed as. So. All right.
Outdoors, or was it in the studio?
All right, let's see what the people have to say. People's Choice Bronze goes to Cody Addison. Silver goes to Leslie Chatham. And gold goes to Sheila Patterson. All right, intermediate. 26 images. So this is going to be a speed round. 850, 1264 copy. Rock Rose. African Daisies. Dog Roses Suffering Texas Heat. Gone to seed. Isolated mandevilla flower on a colored background. Gotta love these titles. Water lily. In full bloom. Lilies and goldfish. Lily. Flower pot. Upside down.
Last week is. No, Oxford as a.
Lemon bee balm or purple horseman in Indian blanket.
The whole week.
Beauty awakening. Star of the garden. Simple beauty. Orchids in the morning. Sunflower in black and white. Silhouette. Floral parade. Salvia being pollinated. 8501243-edit. Party's over. Dahlia flower arrangement on black background. Okay. We'll start with 8501264 copy. Any takers?
Well, on the one hand, I want to actually ask whoever did that, how they did that. I like the way that, I think it's a very interesting image, and I like the way the light comes through from the top left, giving these little, the way the light shines down through the middle of the image. And I like, this looks to me like this is a filter in Photoshop, but I don't know which one. It could also be a double image. Okay, so I'd like to know how they did it, but it has this, it's kind of lost its, it doesn't really have a subject that I see to it. Is kind of my problem with it, but it's very interesting. It looks, however they did it, it looks like, pastel chalks done on a very nice textured paper. And so it came out very, very interesting. It looks like something that should be hanging in a gallery someplace, but but I'm still looking for the subject. So on the one hand, I didn't want to talk about it because I'm giving away my ignorance and showing you I don't know how they did it. But on the other hand, it's interesting. I want somebody to talk about it, to tell me how they did that.
Rock rose. African daisies. Yep. Dog roses suffering Texas heat.
And apparently I like to talk. I found this image highly, how should we say this, highly timely. As I'm busy cooking and melting myself, I'm watching these three flowers, actually that's 4 flowers, they're just kind of shriveling up in the sun. And I think whoever did this did a really excellent job, I thought, of catching the texture in the petals. It has a nice pyramidal shape, which is kind of a classic composition for artwork. The choice of colors. Yeah, okay, I know, the flower did it, not you, but the choice of colors there with the complementary colors, the yellow, the red, the green, all there together, really works well together. And the selective focus makes these flowers just kind of pop out from the background. I thought it really worked very well. I'm really not giving any much for improvement on it. I think it's brave to try and put ugly flowers up in a flower competition, because people are going to vote it down just because they're wrinkled flowers. But I thought they were really cool, and I appreciate your stepping forward with this image. Thank you very much.
Gone to seed.
Yep, this is me. I'm getting text message heckling saying I can't be heard, so I'll swallow this microphone while I speak. I really like this image. I've not seen this style done for this kind of seed pod before, and I think it really captures the subject well, and with really strong impact. The lighting is nice. The subdued tones and colors, I think, adds to the impact. The fact there's no bold colors popping out here anyway. There's good definition and sharpness for the main subject, which I think has been placed nicely in the flat frame at a slight angle, leaning in towards the center. Blurred background works well. Very well done.
Isolated flower on a colored background. Water lily.
Beautiful image, really beautiful image. The water lily, not the in full bloom. That one just
In full bloom.
it won't hold still. I'm talking about the previous one. Thank you. No, I like this image as as an exercise in geometry. I mean, just all the overlapping circles are beautiful the way this is done. In this case, the little water droplets scattered everywhere just add little points of light to add to the image. It's got that pyramidal structure to it that is an excellent composition. And then right there where the subject is supposed to be, we have this crown of this coronet there of flowers. And again, the color is a great complement to the green of the pads. I mean, basically we have this crown sitting on its throne of lily pads, and a little bit of reflection down in the front, not too much, just enough to keep our attention. This is an excellent image.
In full bloom. Lilies and goldfish.
This one's mine. So I believe that the maker was very clear on what they were trying to accomplish with this image, and what they present to the viewer. And so I think that in that respect, it's successful. What I think I would suggest is that if you're going to name something lilies and goldfish, that the goldfish are perhaps a little bit more prevalent. I understand this is a koi pond, and we've got water lilies growing in a pond where koi are having their life, but the compositional weight of the goldfish in the lower left corner is not near what it needs to be to balance off the three lilies and lily pads in what is arguably 75% of the rest of the image. So compositionally, I think that there's some work that needs to be done to bring things in line. I like the treatment. I like the post-processing on this in that the maker was going for a pencil/watercolor / pastel approach, and I find that it's successful in that respect. And I also think it's on point to the brief and that the flowers are very clear. I think most people who've ever seen a water lily would know what we're looking at. So I think they're successful there. I don't find successful the background. That color for me is just not appealing. And I'm a big fan of green. So, you know, I'm not sure what we were going for. And I think that if you're going to vignette, which the maker has done here, because there's a lessening around the lilies and around the goldfish. If you're going to vignette, I strongly feel that you should consider also an exposure vignette, i.e. darken the edges, along with blurring things out. I think that helps keep your eye in the middle of the image and instead of focused on what is essentially a lot of solid color that really serves no purpose. So lots of successful elements, some not so successful. I think some fun ideas, and I'd like to see more in this vein. I think this is a great approach that warrants lots of exploration.
Lily. Flower pot. Little village. Some live life in the fast lane. Well, I struggle to survive.
Yeah, I'll talk about that one. So the brave little flower, reaching up, being protected by the guardrails, with the vehicle rushing by. This is brave approach. Its problem is that huge expanse of asphalt back there is just kind of dull, and I don't really know what to tell you about that. Probably darken it a little bit would have been my suggestion, but then the whole thing would go dark. But I do like the way the flower pops up there and then reaches up towards the road sign, which helps give it some direction, pardon the pun. And I love all the leading lines coming up through the image, and actually reflecting into the side of the van. I think the van on the right actually makes the image something important. It puts context there that otherwise it'd just be this big empty piece of road. So props to whoever did this one. I think this is, an awesome attempt to really say something, because so many of these images they didn't, they were just there. And this one actually tried to say something. Thank you.
Upside down. Lemon bee balm.
I think this is what I was talking about. I can't find my list, so I'm having work from memory here. This is a wonderfully brightly colored image. I think the maker has done a wonderful job, commendable job with the color management and the color palette as well, sticking to the purple, the green, the yellow, and the orange. A little bit more into the microphone. Okay, I'll get out my conference call voice. How's that? There you go. Okay. So excellent color palette. I think very successful color palette. I think I find the choice of the depth of field to be successful. The maker has done a very good job in isolating the 3 stalks of bee balm in the foreground, and then we've got this background that's separated nicely with enough blur to distinguish between here and there, but not so much wild blur that we get bogey balls versus actually seeing what I call them versus actually seeing the flowers in the background. I find the crop to be also appropriate and successful. Things that I would encourage the maker to look out for. The purple flower in the lower left corner and the purple flower in the upper right corner are both distracting for me. We've got lots of purple in the foreground and two other elements that are competing for attention and making those triangles. So I keep bouncing among them. And I don't think that's what I'm guessing. I don't think that's what the maker wanted. So I would either crop them out, or I would clone them out in post, or I would have worked the scene a little bit more at the time. And you know, I'm parenthetically going to say, I am not an expert here. I make mistakes with my background and my edges all the time. So constant reminders, I think, are worthwhile and relevant to all of us. So I'm not trying to be holier than thou. I'm just saying this is something we all should look at. And I think that this would have been a great example of step back, step to the right, turn your camera to the left, and see if you can find something slightly different that gets you an edge that is clean and that frames the b-ball nicely. I also would encourage you to think about that vignette as well, because I think a little vignette here can help keep the eye on the purple is very appropriate, but nice sharp image. Again, beautiful colors. And I think lots of very successful elements.
Beauty Awakening. Star of the Garden.
Yeah, this one's me. I like this image. I think it really pops. The lighting on the flower itself is nice, although there's some quite bright spots in the middle. And generally, I find it quite well balanced with lots of detail visible. The red leaves are pretty much sharp throughout, and the eye is drawn into that center of the flower, which is clearly the main subject. Off-center placement, again, works quite well for me. I would maybe suggest trying to tone down, say, that bronze color in the lower left on the green leaf. That keeps distracting my eye away from the main focal point. I'd also try and just bring the highlights down a little bit in the center of that flower. But I like the warmth of the tones here. I think that's a nice image. Well done.
Simple Beauty.
Yeah, I wasn't supposed to talk about b-ball. And I've got two more to go. I'm trying to decide which one I'm going to discuss. I'm going to discuss this one. This is, I don't think it's moonflower. I think it's something else, but I'm not entirely sure what this is. But I think there's in many respects, it's a very successful image with respect to color palette, with respect to crop, with respect to depth of field and focus. It's got a lot of sharp elements. Now, it was brought up the idea of spraying a flower with water versus raindrops. And given that I don't detect a lot of rain or droplets on the leaves, I'm guessing this was also sprayed with water. So I'm not a fan of using a bottle to mist flowers in this way, because I don't think it just makes sense. But that said, the droplets are sharp. So there's that. I appreciate and I think it's successful to have the surrounding border of the flower, the leaves, visible. We have a black background. We have a context. So this looks to me like it's a large plant, or it's a hedge or something like that. I like seeing. I approve of seeing the leaves in the background. I think it's very helpful to establish what we're looking at. Where I think this image could be improved, a number of areas. First of all, the image is a little flat. If you look at the histogram of this image, it doesn't have any really bright spots, and the rest of the image is just kind of even, tilting towards black. It's flat. So I would encourage the maker to look into brightening the flower. probably sharpening the flower a little bit more texture, maybe a little clarity, some of that mid-range or micro contrast to help make it pop. Definitely bringing up the brightness so that it comes up. I don't know that you need to darken the background, because it's already pretty dark. But what I think is really missing here is that purple border. That purple on the edge of this flower, I think, could be brought up and made more lively and really draw your eye to it. You can see it here, but there's a lot there that could be worked with, and I think really bring a lot of light to this image, and just really make the flower pop and draw the eye. As it is, okay, I'm looking, it's nice, but I think it could be, improved in this respect. But what the maker's done, I think they've done very successfully.
Orchids in the morning. Sunflower in black and white. Silhouette. Floral parade. Salvia being pollinated. Eight 850-1243 edit. Party's over.
I'm going to go ahead and talk about this one. I've talked a lot, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about this one because I think whoever submitted this one is really brave. It's hard to throw in, dead flowers into a flower competition, but I really like this one. I mean, it's at first glance you're going, oh, it's dead. It's dead. Somebody's deadheaded their roses and tossed them into this pond. But I thought it was very interesting the way that, that we used the dead stems in the water as leading lines through the whole image. The bright spots of the flowers themselves, really, are telling us the story. And then amazing, the water itself is actually clear. So it lets you see this layer of death. I know that sounds horrible, but it's this layer of decay. You get to see the recent stuff on the top, just barely dried, and then it starts growing stuff on it, and you see some leaves floating, and then as you go farther down in there, you see the stuff that died last year and the year before. Just the layers of texture and well, death. Okay, formerly life and death. I thought was very impressive how we were able to get that all going together. So props to you for putting that one in with the rest of the flowers.
Dahlia flower arrangement on black background.
Yep, this one's mine. I think this is a nicely shot image of these dahlias, which have got a lovely tone to them. Understanding the choice of a black background and a floating image is not universally popular in the room. I quite like these. And I think it works well. The side and front lighting, I think, is well done. It's made the flowers stand out. But it's also accentuated the pattern on the pot, which the photographer has centered with the design facing us. Shot at f10, which means we got everything important appears to be in focus, front to back. Having said that, there's the leaf coming out on the left. I have no issue with. There's a leaf coming out on the right that I find distracting. It's got a highlight around the edge, and I think I'd have darkened that or removed it because it creates a distraction. But I really like the tones of this one.
Okay. All right, so let's see what the panel of judges have to say. So we got 4 honorable mentions and first, second, third. First honorable mention, water lily to Roberto White. Moving on. I just kind of got down low and caught the flexion. I know there's a little bit off.
It looks like silker. Is that?
No, this is not that. This is when you went over. It'll come to.
Okay.
Yeah.
No country water.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, next honorable mention goes to Donna Smith in full bloom. Donna Smith could not make it tonight, so who's gonna accept the award for her?
Nice choice, shooting it from the back.
Another honorable mention, William Ling, Orchids in the Morning. Thank you. All right, another honorable mention, Patrick St. Sin, Star of the Garden.
So this was also but back in last year. Yep, this is my film camera, and so it's I don't know, a Fuji Provia film scanned with a Canon system of sorts, and it just let's see, what did I shoot this with? It was probably a 250 millimeter lens on the flex body with an extension of about 5/8 of an inch. And the flower was actually about 15 feet away. And that's almost full frame. Well, the place that was located had a fair amount of light. So I was,
All right. Third place. Jenna Kaywood with 850-1264 copy. I bet you it's a D850.
She's not on.
Yeah, I bet you it's a D8. I bet you it's a D850 because the first,
Is she online?
I don't know. Jenna Kaywood? Now.
Okay, so this one, I can tell you, this one is intentional camera movement. We talked about this in the other club back in April. And so she's been exploring moving the camera. This is done in camera completely. Basically moving the camera different ways and with a long exposure. So I want to say, I think that this was a happy accident. I wasn't really sure what she was getting. But she can tell you, she can straighten that out next time she's here. But definitely ICM, we ate this up. We thought this was terrific. And I still do.
Second place, Donna Smith, Gone to See You. And first place, Michael Knox with Lily.
Knox, we've seen him before.
All right.
Good job. I didn't talk about that one because I didn't think it needed it.
Before you, excuse me, before you head on, I have a question. One of the images with the computer file that had multiple mats around it.
Yeah, go to the green one for the end.
PSA Club in San Diego, and every image that was submitted, every image had multiple mats around that. And I was just wondering what the group thought about that.
I thought it was prohibited.
I'm sorry, what?
I thought it was prohibited here.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Where, I don't know what you're
When
talking about.
NAPfS was founded,
It's framed.
it was decided because there were so many people getting started that they didn't want to require matted images. It's part of the presentation. It can add or distract from your image. We could choose to have a competition, one competition next year that had matted images. It'd probably be worthwhile moving a little in that direction.
I always thought it was a very additionally creative element of the photograph. Personally,
So, Stephen, can you pull up the one near the end with the spider wart?
Yeah, let me, early on, they said we couldn't do that.
Well,
Yeah, I don't know if that changed on when. Which one was it? Huh?
It hadn't changed yet.
Oh, this one?
yes, okay, that one was mine.
Yeah.
And so you bring up a very good point. For me, the mat's a little overwhelming. The three elements. Having three pieces there, I think is a little overwhelming for me. Plus it doesn't contrast the image. It's all drawn from the image itself. So it's just, it's distracting to my eye. But Bill, yeah, if matting is an art in and of itself, so maybe we should do that next year.
Matting and
Titles, yeah.
And so is,
What?
well, and so is printing, and we haven't been doing.
And we
any
haven't been doing prints
either. So to me, the mats and the prints go together. So if we want to do some print competition.
And I print.
APA requires digital math.
Oh, they do.
Really? Interesting.
Okay, all right, I'll have to do that.
There's quite a history for digital math, but if we have a physical print competition, both digital and physical math should be allowed.
Okay. I mean,
I don't have an opinion on this.
this could, I mean, I kind of with him, it is a little much.
This particular one.
Now, the other thing,
See, but if I was critiquing it, I wouldn't even, I'd just be looking at the image.
well, yeah, and that's kind of the other part. Kind of the other part here is you know, what, when you put the mat on there, I mean, you know, we're all doing digital here, but you shrank down the image that people are voting on. You know, I mean, you're trying to present your image and you wasted it.
Charles, what is it? When you do a map, the map is part of your creativity. So it is to be judged with the image.
Well, then I'll start doing like, I have a very nice piece at home where the artist has brought the image out onto the mat. Out of the box. How do you pull it out of the image, the image itself extends out onto the mat in places.
Yeah, that's done. That was a thing for a while. It's a thing for a while. So, and you know, I'm doing all my Instagram stuff now with a fixed frame, just to set them off. So.
We'll see what people have to say. People's Choice Bronze goes to Michael Knox with Lily.
Most detail.
Silver goes to Roberta White or Walker.
The people recognize you.
And gold goes to Donna Smith.
There she is again.
She'd be moving up next year.
Yes.
Over to advanced. All right, we got 12 images in advance. Do quick reflections on a Water lily. Butterfly in paradise. Slow down, stop, slow. Botswana orchid. Richmond Park. Metamorphosis. Azaleas. Royal offering. Ultraviolet. A red rose. Spider's hideaway. After the rain. A daisy a day. We'll see what the let me see. Let's see, does it show? This is one show the critique. Who was our next guy? Nope. Oh, I forgot her. Robyn. You have it before? No. That is not the one I want. That is not the one I want either. The one with the critiques. There we go. I'll let you all read it if I can't see it from this end. If somebody else can see it, I'll read it.
Well, I'm not Robyn, but so Robyn thinks that we have good use of colors, good use of cropping, good use of light, instills an emotional reaction and original treatment of the subject, strong composition, but we have a distracting edge element. I really enjoy this delightful image. The colors and clarity are lovely to me. I especially enjoy the inclusion of the reflection in the water, which adds to the impact of the photo. The colors here are complementary and are pleasing to my eyes. The depth of field used to the background blur works well. I do find a few areas on all four edges that are distracting. To me, it is important to always check for clean edges in a photo. In my opinion, the focus is a bit soft on the flower on the viewer's right side. I do find a distracting white element on the right side, right above the second flower on the right side that draws my eye right there.
Butterfly in paradise.
Good use of colors, good use of light, sharpness. Do you guys want me to read this junk? Okay, all right. So the bright colors, we'll start. The bright colors pulled me right in to enjoy this image. The main interest area, the butterfly on the plant, possesses nice sharpness and wonderful detail in the wings and the eyes. I do find a merge with one of the antennas and a flower bud behind. The background is distracting here, and I feel it competes with the main interest area, The butterfly and the out of focus green areas are especially distracting as some of the flowers in the background are in focus. I think I might crop in tighter on the left side to put more interest on the butterfly.
Botswana orchid.
What a wonderful flower this is. To me, I love the color and the selective focus used here. In my opinion, the lighting is lovely. The black background complements the flower. I do feel that the green extensions from the flower are a distraction as they are not in focus. That takes me away from the lovely main interest area.
Richmond Park.
In my opinion, this is a wonderful capture of an assortment of blooming plants. The flowers and foliage are tack sharp and the colors vibrant. I really like how they lie together here. In my opinion, I have a problem finding a main interest area to focus on. I do wish that the photo was shot a bit wider to show what lies on each side. The buds at the bottom right side are just begging me to come see more of what lies beyond.
Metamorphosis.
What a wonderful eye-catching image. I find this to be, the selective focus is tack sharp right where it needs to be. The colors that Mother Nature picked here are complementary, creating even more high impact to me. I do appreciate the background, but do feel that the lighting on the upper part of the out of focus stem is a bit bright and draws my eye there away from the main interest area, which is the beautiful and unusual flower. I also find the background a bit distracting with one side being dark and the other brighter and more colorful.
Azaleas.
Am I putting you to sleep yet? Wow, what a colorful image this is. There is so much to enjoy in the scene. However, I have trouble focusing on one main interest area as there is so much here. I would suggest cropping in tighter to one area to feature that. I also feel that some of the image is not sharply focused, especially in the front. The area in sharp focus appears to be in the center, in my opinion.
Royal offering.
I find this to be a very dramatic image, which sure caught my eye. The colors featured here are lovely. The choice of background color sure helps to pop the bright colored flower. I do find that the focus is not sharp on all the petals, just the ones that are on the same focal plane as in the center of the flower, which is tack sharp. The dark edge vignette works here to put emphasis on the main interest, which is the flower, but might be considered a bit heavy to me. I also find the inclusion of the leaf and petals at the bottom of the frame distracting.
Ultraviolet.
Wow, what a dramatic image greets my eyes. I find the lighting used here works so well. The colors and clarity to me are perfect. I like the color combination that Mother Nature supplies here with the blue and purple. In my opinion, the use of the rule of odds adds to the impact. To me, the black background complements the beautiful, strong image that is the main focus area. I might like to see a bit more light on those bottom petals, as most of them are in shadow.
Red rose.
In my opinion, this is a strong monochromatic composition with lots of high impact. The clarity is tack sharp throughout. The color red is well captured here, and the lighting is done well, I believe. The rose lies in a strong location in the frame. If I were to change anything, it would be to not crop so tight at the bottom of the image.
Spider's hideaway.
What a fun capture, in my opinion. The inclusion of the tiny spider adds interest to the scene. The colors captured here are lovely. I find the focus nice and sharp on the spider and the top of the flower. However, the petals in the front and bottom are soft. I feel that the background color distracts from the main interest area. My eye just keeps wandering to that bright purple pink area, taking me away from what the photographer wanted to feature.
After the rain.
I find this to be such a strong, high impact photo. It is tack sharp throughout to my eyes. To me, the color here is excellent, and the inclusion of the water droplets adds to the beauty captured here. I also appreciate the lighting that was used. In my opinion, the diagonal line that the flower is presented on adds impact to the image. To me, the choice of background, depth of field, and color works so well here. If I were to suggest changing anything, it might be to not crop as tight at the bottom edge and right edge, so a bit more is showing there, which would balance the image more with the top space and the left side. In my scrolling, can we scroll this?
Yeah, can't read.
Okay, so in my. Such sweet flowers are featured here. The flower on the left side is sharp in focus, and the pastel color of the petals is lovely. That bright yellow center brings me right in to look closer. I do appreciate the inclusion of the water droplets. I feel that the black background works well here. To me, this would be a hard image to capture. The light is on the left side and the plant on the right in the shadow, which is distracting.
All right. And the judge says. Right. We got 3. Third goes to Dennis Bosserman, Metamorphosis. Oh.
They just need to move the exit.
All right. Second goes to Gary Hook, After the Rain.
Pardon? I don't remember where I took this. I'd have to,
After the Rain?
well, yeah, I'd have to go look it up. Probably, pardon? No. No, I want to say, I want to say this was at Sunken Garden in Georgetown. Probably, after a rainy day. But no, I don't do spray bottles. If I'm gonna do anything, I'll get glycerin out and do single water droplets. But, yeah, this one, was just about, I'm a big fan of documenting what I find. I don't like making up things in nature, but this was fun with the, not just the flower, but the stalk in back as well. I thought made a nice counterpoint, so.
Works for me.
First goes to Gene Thomas, Ultraviolet.
Is it B-ball as well?
Yeah.
It looks like,
Well, they call it B-ball, but I think of it as horse man.
here it's B-ball, yeah.
Whatever.
That's what I learned.
Haven't got much of either.
Yeah,
She must have fell asleep.
it looks like it anyways.
Okay,
And people's choice?
let's go to People's Choice. Let's see what the people have to say. People's Choice Bronze goes to Gary Hook,
Oh.
After the Rain.
See who else they put in.
Dennis Bosserman, Metamorphosis.
Moving on.
And gold goes to. Not Ultraviolet. Royal Offering, Gary Hook.
Oh. Thank you. Despite the fact that only one plane is in focus, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think
All
that's
right.
a matter of opinion.
So that ends.
Definitely a matter.
Next competition, open, so anything open.
You can submit.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
all about. blur. Thanks.
Okay.
Just, well, I like focus stacking, but when I'm doing that kind of stuff, I mean, that was.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
I was like, what is
Here you
it?
gotta buy and tell us what you're gonna talk about.
Pardon?
Tell us what you're gonna talk about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's-
So, and I have a question for everybody too, who's interested. So, my goal, in 2 weeks is to discuss post-processing techniques. And what I want to do is share what I consider to be what I want to do is I want to give people tools, right? So I'm not going to make things complicated. What I want to do is give you tools and explain why they work and how you can do things relatively easily to elevate images. I think that I view digital post-processing the same as the darkroom, and anybody who's knows anything about darkroom work and film work knows that Ansel Adams, for example, was a big fan of spending hours in the darkroom. The work he did was not just printing a negative. He spent hours dodging and burning stuff and trying to create his images. Our job is to do the same with tools like Lightroom or Affinity or something like that. So I want to talk about just some tools. I want to go through a number of images and demonstrate the various techniques. And I'm going to build on complexity, starting with simple and then work my way up. This month, when I was going through my judging, I actually went through the images that I judged and went and edited them in the way I commented on in my judging. And so what I want to do is ask people if they have an image they'd like to have edited, to let me have, if you have the raw file, I'll take that. And give me an idea of what you'd like to see done to it, what you think it warrants having approach, what you think an approach might be. So I'm going to ask some people for some sample files as well. So I'm going to reach out to people. So that's the idea, and so I'm going to do this live. We'll spend about an hour, and hopefully people will walk away with some new tools.
Presets. Gonna show how to do presets or that's a shortcut.
No, I have zero interest in presets, because presets generally work on the image they were created for, and they don't really work well on most other images. So at least not without a lot of work. And I can show you basic tools that will get you a lot farther along, and you can build your own presets if you want to. So
Can you talk at all about one of the little twiddles in the instructions for the next month, or for actually that's not next month, that's August, but
right.
but for the post was to do something that's obviously post-processed, which is kind of backwards from the way I was taught. Was, you know, if you can see that somebody did it, you know, did it in post, they did it wrong.
I think they're okay. So thank you for the awards for people's choice of first and third place. Both of those are highly processed.
Okay.
Okay. Do they look terrible? No, I don't think they look terrible.
Well, I was a little put off actually by the odd, you know,
The
the odd
vignette.
way, the odd vignette that was shaped to the flower.
Okay.
That bothered me,
And
frankly.
that's fair. That absolutely fair. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'd have to go back to the original to find out how much that was actually the scene and how much of it I did. I don't recall, because it was the same. It was the same hill country that Patrick's thing was shot at. So it was a while back. But that's a good point.
But it
So-
looked artificial.
Okay,
You know, which bothered me.
so I went too far on that.
Yeah.
Okay, but the color, right? The color, the separation of the flower from the background, things like that. Oh yeah, turn the lights up. You know, those kinds of things. And I think once you see what I'm going to demonstrate, you'll get the idea. It's like, oh, I can do this, and it's not going to distract. It's actually going to elevate. Okay, and we want to encourage people to do more. We want to encourage people to try harder.
Sure, and I've
Okay.
seen some interesting filters in Photoshop that were obviously
Right.
filters,
Right,
but I
right.
thought they made an interesting image. They were obviously post-processed, but they weren't intended to look natural.
Right.
You know?
So like the lilies and goldfish image in intermediate. right? The watercolor. I'm not going to talk about doing any of that kind of work.
Okay.
Okay, and there are filters out there, and if you like them and they help you accomplish your artistic vision, more power to you. That's fantastic. But that's not what my presentation is about. My presentation is about sweet, discrete tools.
Okay.
Being able to do things with little bitty things that you can collect and add as you need to accomplish your artistic vision. That make sense?
Sure. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
cool. So that's the goal anyway. So I hope it will be worth your time. That's the plan.
Thank you.
You bet.
Guys, think about that. Picture that you really love, want to know how they did it?
Yeah.
I like it too, love
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
However, theme, it, to me, we rate a 0. I didn't see not one flower. Not one, I didn't see a flower.
Sure.
And that's fair for me.
Right.
I knew the
There were not one
flowers were
flower.
there. so,
Well,
yeah. So
Yeah, you
having
can,
seen the
you
image
can
before,
take a
so,
picture
yeah.
of anything and
Yeah.
say I knew what was
Yeah.
there. No, there was no
And that-
flowers.
And that's fair. So
Huh?
it didn't necessarily go to brief is what you're saying. And that's fair.
There was some yellow smudges
Mhm.
that you can imply that they were a flower. You can imply, but it could always be something else.
Right, right.
So, and then there'll be no flowers.
As a judge, okay, usually we're pretty loose if you're not close, okay?
Yeah.
Right.
He was talking about, counting down on, on one of the images because it was a succulent, not a flower.
Yeah,
And-
yeah.
Like, that's close enough.
I felt bad. Okay, I felt.
And that one to me,
The cactus flowers, that they weren't flowers.
They were flowers.
Right, right.
They were
But
flowers.
that-
They were
that-
always pretty.
most people would actually buy that they are flowers.
Sure.
Unless you really know about cactus and all that.
And
So,
they-
hey, looking at it, you can just buy flower. But the other one I'm talking about is just smudges
Yeah.
and you didn't see not one flower.
Well, they overruled